What's the sweetest sound in your life? To me, it's revenue. Doesn't that word sound good? It just rolls off my tongue. Deals and revenue. The second best is meetings and conversations. Looking at my calendar and seeing it full of people who want to talk with me. How's your calendar look? Is it full of opportunity or is it a bunch of blank spaces? Do you come in every day and you look at the CRM and you're like, oh, I don't know where to start? You know what you need? You need a little help, a system, a process, a way of building up that calendar so you come in and you don't look at your CRM, you look at your calendar and you go, look at all the meetings I have. I'm booked. I've got deals. I've got conversations. Oh, it's heaven, let me tell you. Go to b2brevenue.com right now. Do you have enough meetings? Start the conversation, get the meetings, the course you need. Does the pipeline look good? But the deals, not budging? Winning the complex sale, that's what you need. Also, I put a video on YouTube that describes the courses and how to get started and how they work. You're not on your own. You got community with office hours. You've got one-on-ones. You're not alone. We're building a sales skill. It's not knowledge. Everybody always asks me, well, tell me what you did in this. How do I do this in this situation? All tactics. You need them. You need to know of them. But if you have a process, you can prevent them. That's what it's all about. Let's get into the interview. Got an exciting one today. Great guy. Came on through the list of people that I asked for on LinkedIn. I asked for, tell me about your top salespeople. And here's one of them. Great story, great dedication, great mindset, hardworking, all of that stuff. I think you'll like it. Let's get into it. Hey, Todd, welcome to the show. As way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Hey, Brian. My name's Todd. I been on the other side of the headphones on this show for quite a while, and I've been in sales for quite a while too, my whole career. Former athlete, Bay Area guy, always kind of loved the competitive juices. Was not unlike everyone else in that I graduated college during the Great Recession, which is probably resonating with some people now with what we're going into. Had a business degree and nothing else. Just a lot of ambition and drive. Stumbled into IT recruiting, which was a sales job in disguise, which I didn't know since, like many other people here, I grew up my whole life wanting to avoid this profession we're all in. Found out that I loved it. I love the competitiveness. I love the juices. And then my network has taken me to many places and many different careers. I've never really naturally applied for a job and accepted it without going through my network as far as I've met people over the years. So currently I sell primarily in the HR space. It was a natural transition in the recruiting world, the staffing agency world. And I've been doing it ever since. And my latest role, and me, like many other people, 6 months ago, my sales career was on a very different trajectory than I thought it would be now. But it's exciting. I've been able to adapt and change, find new roles, find new positions, even move to new cities. And so it's something, it's a career I've really fallen in love with as far as being a sales rep.
Cool. And in the recruiting, was that sal or commission only?
No, but pretty close. It was a 17-person company. In this world, whether you're working for the giant companies or the small ones, even if they pay you a base salary and it's technically not a draw, it really is.
Yeah.
It just you learn to not work for your base salary anymore. You learn to grow it, but pretty much you didn't get paid and you didn't stay long at a 17-person bootstrapped family business without making the revenue. So it was what I'll say in disguise, yes.
So you always pick the easy jobs, huh?
You know, I think it's the ones that no one else wants to do, I will fall into.
Yeah.
And it's my biggest superpower is the ignorance of not understanding what I'm getting myself into and then adapting to it, I think.
That's it. It sounds so good before you start, right?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Glassdoor was a pretty hot company, wasn't it?
It was an amazing, amazing company. I had an amazing run there. I owe them everything. It was my first sales job. That was they essentially plucked me from the recruiting world after I got, like you as an engineer, I was in this IT world. And I was in this IT space pitching all these companies every single day. And I would get the salary of the engineers. And I'd be like, man, would it be nice to make that kind of money one day? Like I'd get their salaries and then I would start talking to my friends who were moving into sales roles, who had started SDRs, who gotten into sales, and they were making more than the engineers that I thought was already placed. And it was, wow, okay, I'm already working in a job where I have to make placements every month or I lose my job. I am judged on my commission. I get paid a percentage of everybody who works for me. How do I get into sales? Where do I start? I'm going to do this. And no one wanted an IT recruiter from a family business to get into sales. I didn't know anything about it. I saw an account executive job in the Bay Area. I applied for it. I'd get interviews and then quickly realized very directly from some managers that I was not a fit for the job and you needed to do X, Y, Z to get there. Luckily enough, Glassdoor gave me the opportunity and actually wanted folks from my background. And they gave me my first true account executive sales role. And over a 6-year run, I kind of fell in love with this business. I had just gotten in there wanting to do sales, really not confident, really not sure if I could do this. But I want to say about year 3 there, I really started, everyone has their day where this kind of becomes who they are and what they do. And I really fell in love with this business and I fell in love with doing everything I do day to day in that role. So that was a transformative experience. That was amazing time that I went through.
Now, why didn't you either go out on your own as a recruiter or do the commission only thing?
Yeah, I've always said I'm never going to be the first guy in to go out on my own because I love working with other people and I love feeding off of other people and that's how I learn quickest, other than studying on my own. And it's just when I just look back on when I first got into this in 2014, I joined this explosive growth company. They'd just gotten their last round of funding. They were the hottest thing going in that time. And it was truly drinking from the fire hose, sink or swim environment, where every first of every month we're onboarding a whole new sales class. And it was a crazy environment to be in and a crazy way to ride. Easy for me to say. Wave to ride. So
was it survival of the fittest, or did they have some nurturing? Or
they were amazing. So these Bay Area companies get a bad name for all these perks and startups. They also invest a lot of money in your success. We had the best Sandler trainers, we had the best Franklin Covey trainers, and we had the best products. It's something I know a lot of people are looking at as getting coddled, but the more that a company like that invests in you, the more they expect. And they always would work with you, and but they wouldn't keep low performers by any means. So that was what truly gave me the strength to want to actually go and research this stuff on my own, to not just show up to work every day, do my job and go home, but show up to work today and ask myself, how can I get better at this? How can I stop beating myself up with all this negative self-talk? How can I go home and read a little bit from other salespeople? And that's how I found this show and this podcast. I really wanted to get better outside those 4 walls of work every day.
Yeah. And who were you selling to at Glassdoor? Was it HR?
Yeah, primarily human resources has been my entire sales career.
Well, they're such nice people.
I'm glad you're laughing. They are. And when you first start in sales, I think it's great. You need to speak to nice people, because if you get that angry person who hangs up on you, or that person who at the end of your 30-minute meeting says, no, Todd, I don't think your pitch was any good, that really can affect you when you're brand new at this job. But then the further you get, the later in your career you get, the best kind of people are the ones who will be absolutely rude to you and mean to you. And the worst kind of people are the ones who will be the nicest people ever to you. And that was part of my evolution of working and how I've gone through multiple roles and in my career. But it is an amazing space to sell to, especially since they, people are the most valuable asset at a company. They're also the most expensive. Yeah. And so the tools and resources to help get those folks are absolutely vital.
And what do they care about? What were their hot buttons when you were selling Glassdoor?
Well, this is a unique thing. Sometimes you were the hot button. Your product was the pain. That was the most unique thing about the business. Glassdoor is an amazing product to this day, and it solves a lot of recruitment problems for a lot of people. But it also is a user-generated content platform. There's a lot of them out there now. It's kind of the way it goes. It's Yelp, there's Google reviews, there's G2 Crowd, and all the purposes we serve, we bring power to the people and power to the users, and those types of sites are absolutely nothing without their audience or their credibility. And so when you're talking to someone, you might get a CEO of a business and your solutions are geared towards helping him find better people, but sometimes they aren't even thinking about that. They're mad at you. You're the face of this company who's letting people leave horrible reviews about my site, which obviously you have to empathize with. You learn empathy awfully quick. If you don't, you'll never make it there. And obviously you had to be able to have those conversations and then help them understand that, you know, this is actually a good thing, not just for the world, but for you as a business owner. And here, come with me. I'm going to show you how this works. And that was really what people cared about. They obviously cared about, I need candidates. Like, you know, from 2014 to 2019, it was impossible to hire really good people. But mostly that's kind of a commoditized industry. There's a million job websites out there now. I work for an amazing one now, but still, the unique differentiator, the curiosity, it's about themselves. They always wanted to know, how do I get better reviews on this site? Because I keep constantly hearing about it. So It was a great experience.
And what differentiated you? You had some great years there.
Yeah. Me personally, just care more. I don't want to put myself over too much, but I just care about this grind, this hustle. I look at myself as a salesperson as like a badge of honor. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're working weekends, you're working until 8 in the night, but it means when you're at work, like, what do you focus on? What do you do? Do you dive in and do you actually legitimately not just go through the motions on a discovery call? Do you actually find what the person really cares about and needs? And not just, you know, everyone knows who listens to this show, you got to find what people truly care about. They don't care about your company. They don't care at all. But where's the science of it? That's the hardest part. You can listen to an amazing sales trainer all day. Like you always say, hey, you gotta get into people. You gotta send really specific, tailored emails. You gotta send, you gotta call and leave great voicemails. You gotta call things out on LinkedIn. But how do you do that? And I think each rep needs to figure out what works for them ultimately. That is the style and science of sales. Well, the science of sales is to obviously hit all these bullet points when you talk to a customer, but how do you get to that bullet point? How can you eventually get to the point where a customer will tell you what they spend with your competitor with no issue, and you can use it to your advantage? So those are the ways, and I think that mindset helps me understand just to get a lot out of every interaction I have with every customer.
And I think that's a key thing, because the caring is important, but the paradox is you can't care too much about the initial outcome.
Right. And it's been a whirlwind. So I left Glassdoor in May and joined a company going right back to the world of very, very scrappy, very, very small, very, very close, tight-knit group. I've joined a 50-person company that you go from Glassdoor, which is a household name and everyone's heard of it. And now at the first few weeks, literally every cadence I had to completely change on the fly, because every time I'd get a customer on the phone, the first question was, wait, where are you from? Like, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And so I've quickly learned, like, you are the style, not the science of sales, but the style of how to have a great conversation with someone without them even really knowing who you are, what you do, or how you can help them yet. And that's what's made me successful early on here, kind of getting into a whole new world. And what I've learned is, it's great to work for a brand name, a huge player, the industry leader in the space, but that means that customers already got a thought in their head of who you are and what you do and how you do it. Now you work for a smaller company, you write the story, you tell them who you are, how to feel about you. You don't have to overcome any biases. Because, hey, I mean, it's awesome to have that big name, but it's a little more fun when you can obviously control the narrative. Because if someone liked you that much, they would have already bought from you.
They called you.
So as a new, they would have already done it. So, oh, great, I work for this giant company. Everyone's heard of me. This is going to be a great job. I'm going to call. People are going to agree to meetings. It's like, they know you're out there. Why haven't they bought from you yet? They've already had free demos last year. Why haven't they called you? And so that's why I've really learned these first 2 months in my new role of what I really liked about it and what I've really been able to take advantage of.
And how do you answer that question? Like, who are you? And how do you kind of characterize who the company is
Yeah.
in the
I th-
market.
yeah, I sell myself with the company. I obviously admit that, hey, I've been an agency recruiter and I've been at Glassdoor for 6 years, but let me tell you about Talroot, my new company. And then I get into exactly who we are as a platform. But the end of that statement is, it's a very quick 2 sentence. Hey, this is how our unique value prop solves your problem, which, but speaking of that problem, let's do you have it? Because a lot of the folks I talked to earlier, so you never want to leave your sentence off of at the beginning of any meeting, I feel, about ended at you. Always hand it back to them to get them talking about themselves. It's how you avoid being commoditized in the world today, because at the end of the day, the time is going to come for you to tell why you're different and why this is a good fit. It's going to be a much easier conversation to have throughout the sales process if you've truly built the credibility by asking good questions and talking with great experiences about how you've helped people in already fulfill these same exact needs.
So do you sell the problem? Do you, or do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, as a new business rep, I've always been someone who sold something and threw it over the fence and basically said, thank you. You're in great hands now. Call me if you need anything. But come on, do we really mean it? As a new business rep, call me if you need anything. No, we're going to go right to the customer success and account management team. The need is us handing you right back over. But now I'm accountable for everything. I'm on my own. I'm customer success. I'm the account manager, and everything we do is performance based. So I have to sell a deal, and I also have to be accountable for that deal. It never leaves me. It's mine. The new world that we're in, as far as, in job advertising, has shifted away from these long fixed contracts and are meant to be dynamic and scalable with a company. So I have to sell with that in mind. I have to sell from the very time I get a cold call that this customer is going to be with me 8 months from now if this goes well. Is it going to be worth my time? We can't afford to have a bad partnership, literally. Like, we
And
can't
are
be
you
in
still selling solely to HR, or is it the hiring manager?
We sell to HR pretty much.
Yeah.
Hiring managers in enterprises, and these large enterprises companies, you'll sell to a hiring manager who might be a VP of engineering,
Yeah.
because we're quick and easy to do business with. And
And
that's been obviously a blast too to get you going with.
and who typically on the supply side uses your site? Is it engineers?
Our audience is really the whole internet. This new phase of programmatic job advertising has really compelled me, and is really exciting and interesting. Essentially, with the new technology that's out there in advertising, you're no longer, hey, back at 30 years ago, if I was a international company and I want to advertise in America, I'm going to go call up one of the 4 networks and advertise them because they have the biggest audience. I don't know who that audience is, but I have to be on ABC or in the New York Times. That's what everyone reads. I don't know who they are. And you just threw money at them and hope for the best and outspent them. Now we have the technology. It's like, I need plumbers from the ages of in Dallas, Texas, who have this year's experience. I only want to invest my ad dollars there. And so our platform, and a lot of amazing other ones too, now have it to the point where it's less focused on, we have 200 million people in our network. There's got to be people in here. See, we've got them. You're going to get them. But efficient spend of dollars to actually attract invest your money at the right place at the right time. So that's kind of what our platform does, through 10 years of building up a lot of data and a lot of network of getting people out there.
And what's the hardest part of your job now?
The hardest part of our job isn't dissimilar to any other role I've had, any other sales role there is you have to tap into the emotion. The logic, like I just told you, sounds great, but using that outward mindset that you talk about all the time everyone's different. So you have to be able to prove to the person that you're going to be a great partner. They have to know in their head that they're making a great decision. Can't be you telling them that, hey, you're going to invest your time, energy, and money with us. It's a great decision. They can't just believe you. They have to tell them that themselves. So that's not just the hardest part of my role. I feel like it's what all of us in this sales nation essentially get paid to do, and what we're good at is helping people buy. We're not selling things. We allow people to buy things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part of the job, and why I keep coming in every day to help people do this.
And how do you show them that?
You have to essentially, I'm a big analogy and storyteller. if I feel something isn't resonating, I'll talk all day about some kind of analogy or some kind of story, and then I'll test it and hand it back to see if it hit home. If someone has like a one-word response to your product or your pitch and how it's going to help them, can't just take it. It's what I did in my younger career when I was kind of a B player before I got to the good height I am at today. You have to basically use that self-awareness to basically get side to side with your customer on the table and say, hey, you can tell me no, but here's if you say yes, here's exactly what's going to happen. And I think that kind of framing, that mindset of what you guys can do together is really what helps me win.
Yeah. And what drives you as a rep?
What drives me as a rep is the selfish things. Obviously, I want to take care of my family. I want to have nice things. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. But what really makes me happy is just being a part of a team that really wants to win and wants to succeed, and kind of where do I fit in an organization. I hear a lot of sales reps think, oh, I drive revenue and that's what I come to work every day for. And they think that's a good answer in like interviews and whatnot. It's great to deliver your company $500,000 a year in revenue. That's great. But what about doing so much more for your company and being a foundational, transformative hire? I like to get in situations like that where it's not just, hey, great, my quota was $500,000 this year. I made $550. I helped the company. Well, I mean, that's great, obviously, but what else can you do? How can you help 5 other reps get to that $500,000 mark? How can you, when there's a problem at a company, it's not just, hey, we have this problem. It's, hey, guess what, guys? I think we have a problem. I think we should do this in our cadences, and now I'm going to own it. That's the beauty that I've learned these last few months of working for a much smaller firm is you don't just tell your boss, hey, why don't we have this? No, it's, hey, we don't have this, and I'm owning it. I'm running with it. I'm going to rebuild this cadence. I'm going to work with marketing to do that. And those are the kind of things that get me really excited. And from now on, whether I'm at the largest company in the world after this or an even smaller company, I'm always going to make sure I do, because that's what drives me. And I think is my advice to everyone else is to be not just someone who drives revenue and helps add to the bottom line, but how can you transform your whole company in your own special way?
And do you feel more comfortable at a smaller company now, or?
I do. I
Yeah.
really do. It's I didn't think I would, but I absolutely do.
Yeah. But you stuck with HR. I mean, that's a tough space, isn't it? You don't know
It's
any
the
other,
only
I
one
guess. So.
yeah, it's a tough space. You oftentimes have the smallest budget of the organization. If that boardroom behind you, if HR is in there, they're the ones who are typically getting beat up all day, every day.
It's
And
a
so
it's a thankless job.
it is. They don't think you contribute revenue. You're firing people. You're doing the trainings that no one wants to go to. And guess what? Now they get to have their revenge on you at times on sales. They get to take it out on you. They get to have their fun and have their say with you, especially since usually if you have a CHRO, they work very closely with the CEO, which means that, they're not getting necessarily as much credit as they deserve for a certain performance of individuals in the organization when they absolutely should. So it's the empathy to help them understand that and to partner with them and to also not just talk about how you can help them personally, but how you can help them get through to other people in the organization, that you are a key member of this team. You're not just a box that people check. And really kind of help them look good, I think is the best thing. All my best partnerships I've done over the years have been to not just check a box, have been to buy a product that helps them look good. And you can talk to the personal impact, and I think it works great.
Yeah, definitely. And what have been some kind of the milestones in your sales skills process?
Milestones in my sales skills, probably just going from the point when I first started at this job, if someone would answer a cold call to hanging up, like someone answered the call and, oh, I didn't like how that sounded. I would hang up. Oh, the phone got disconnected. I was hoping to leave a
You'd
voicemail.
hang up.
Yeah, I would hang up on myself and on them just because this is, I just sometimes I was like, oh, this guy's a VP of HR. Like I look at his LinkedIn, like oh my gosh, he answered. Click. Like, I don't know what to say. I panicked.
I wasn't expecting him to answer.
He answered. I just wanted to leave a voicemail and let my CRM know and show my boss that I made my dials today. Hopefully he responds to my email books meeting. I went from that to leading basically a giant training at our sales kickoff on cold calling. And it went really well. It was judged really well. The feedback was really good. And that was just in a few short years.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of my best superpower is I like to do the work that no one else likes to do. Like we talked at the beginning of this conversation.
But how'd you change that mindset? Because you went from one end of the spectrum to the other.
That was the owning it. That was falling in love with sales and honestly having success and struggles. Just being tired of, looking at the leaderboard at a 100-person sales company and being in the middle. Like I was never on any sales plans. I was never told by my bosses, you need to work harder and try harder. I would hit a quarter, maybe one quarter. I was the top person in the office. But I also noticed that the same people are always up there, always. Yeah. And I got sick and tired of not, being the best. I don't need the award at sales kickoff. I don't need my name in a plastic piece of paper that I'm just going to leave at the party after and walk across the stage for 30 seconds and half the people are checking their phones. Half the people are mad at me that I'm up there. I don't need that recognition, but what I do need is nailing my numbers. Cause like your numbers are always going to be there. We keep score in our industry, nailing my numbers and being able to enjoy and compensate myself properly and help others while I'm at it for sure. That's definitely what caused me to want to get better at this, and honestly, what fuels me to this day.
And what, or where did that competitiveness come from?
Because I was a college basketball player, and it was the same deal. I had to work really hard to not just throughout high school and throughout college, but I didn't want to stay on. I wanted to be on the team, right? I wanted to play. I wanted to do that. I didn't, the same reason the same people are always playing. It's because of the best. And what can you do? You can make yourself better. And I really, really think sales is like an exercise that you've got to get better at, whether it's a live call or whether it's practicing in your own time.
Yeah. And is it love to win or hate to lose that motivates you?
Hate to lose. I love how you asked that. I can have an amazing day, an amazing sales day. Like I don't know about you, but I never ever. My favorite thing in this world is if you can have a great sales day on a Friday. Doesn't even necessarily have to be there. Even if it's one deal that you were kind of you had it forecast and it comes in on a Friday, it just feels that much better. I love that feeling, but it literally, I had an amazing week. I got an even couple more deals this Friday. I love that feeling, but it's gone by Monday. Yeah. It's, oh gosh, okay. How do we get this calendar full again? I'm not paranoid anymore about my deals falling through. I used to invent things in my head about partnerships collapsing and, oh my gosh, they're going to say this, even though none of it was true. But Monday morning, it's how does the calendar look? And what's next? Because every leader I've ever had that's truly been good is asking that question. That's what great leaders do. Because if you don't ask that to yourself, you got to pick up on your leader's going to ask you. If you have a great Friday where you close a bunch of deals that you had in the pipeline, every great leader on Monday is going to be asking you what's next. Right. You're not doing it to be mean, but you got to understand there's a reason they're doing that, and there's a reason they got to where they were.
Yeah, and if you look at a blank calendar, it's like
it's anxiety time. It really is. That's where the sales anxiety happens. Then you started inventing things, and I had got much better at this a long time ago. But stopping that talk in your head of every meeting, just eliminating that negative self-talk, was a game changer for me when I got good at this. Probably the end of 2017.
And I've never really seen an A player that wasn't a little hyper competitive.
Yeah. It's tough to do this. It's tough to do this every day if you're not.
Right. Oh, I lost. No problem. Next.
Yeah. I mean, that can be good, right? Where you don't dwell on the negatives, but you got to start learning from bad outcomes. I used to beat myself up so much. Like, that customer didn't buy from me because it was my fault. Well, it may or may not have been your fault, but what did you learn? And how can you use that hate to lose? How can you use that hate to lose to motivate yourself to go out there and go make 10 great cold calls, book a meeting, and your next meeting, You don't want to feel that hate to lose feeling again. So go in there, do great research. Don't back down from an objection. Go in there and handle and ask amazing discovery calls. Go in there and say, hey, this is going to be a tough question, Brian, but look, I'm not really feeling that you're 100% grasping our product here. Can you tell me a little bit about your vendors right now and what you're paying for them? And maybe we can get together and find out what's going on here. Like, what's not sitting well with you? Like, getting in there, not just taking that silent objection, like, and using your kind of angst as motivation is what I think is really helpful. Not perfect at it today by any means.
And I think that's the key thing, like the caring piece is the same thing as the winning and losing piece. You can't care too much about each call.
No, because if you make every call the Super Bowl, you're going to be heartbroken.
You're going to kill yourself. You're just going to explode and bang your head against the wall. But
yeah, you can't. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
If you go ahead and make that huge investment over, a couple of months, and they go with a competitor because you dropped the ball, then you own it.
Yeah.
That's the time to kind of beat your head against the wall.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking, I think, last show about this, about how you had like a life-changing deal fall through. Is your fault. Well, I mean, I got news for everyone. We're not just gonna have one more of those. We're gonna have a lot.
Yeah.
We're gonna know the specifics, and you have to learn from these. I'm glad I learned that skill, but you have to learn this, and no one's taking away your wins. That's one thing too. I want to let everyone know. Yes, technically, deals claw back, right? Deals, fall through, but no one's taken away the amazing quarter you had. Yes, our profession is what have you done for me lately, but just remember, no one else accomplished in particular what you've accomplished. Like, if you've hit a quarter, you've got that signed purchase order from a customer, technically they can take away. But in reality, in that moment where someone said, yes, I want to do business with Todd, he did a good job, no one can take that away. And so always remember that if you do have a tough day, you do have a bad call, you do feel the whole world's coming down, you do feel your manager isn't happy with you, don't forget about those things.
Yeah.
Because they'll really help you through the fire, if you will.
Cool. Hey, it's been a fun conversation, Todd. Where can people go to follow you?
Yeah, people can come two places primarily that I like to chat and talk to people about what we do and how we do it, which is LinkedIn. My name's Todd Bergman, San Francisco Bay Area for now, Austin, Texas here in about a month. Looking really forward to it. Location, but find me on LinkedIn, Todd Bergman. And then I also have a Twitter account where I talk about a number of things. It's at @LBirdman, ELBIRDMAN. Would love to meet more people there as well.